Greetings, traveller. Come in and take a seat by the fire. Today we will be beginning a new tale together. A tale of common struggles in uncommon times. A tale of desperate actions in the face of destiny. The first stretch of a path that will span the breadth of the world. A great and terrible adventure begins with but a single step. The Closing Net, Part 1. The room is musty with the scents of old straw, stale sweat, and spilled ale. Though several people are already here, the sounds usually filling this room are absent, replaced by the oppressive weight of anticipation and the steady shh, shh of a blade gliding across a leather belt. The man in the corner is stropping a large knife on a strip of leather wrapped around his fist, which has been smoothed to a fine sheen by the motion over a period of several years. Luther Felwyn has only one nervous tick, but it is a consistent one, and it shows. The knife is large, more machete than dagger, and razor sharp already, the edge glinting in the flickering candlelight. But he strops it anyway. You are late. Your heartbeat is still drumming in your chest as you catch your breath at the door, ears straining to catch any hint from behind that you may have been followed. But beyond the muffled hubbub of a normal tavern day through the door, you can make out no signs that your arrival was noted by anyone, apart from the surly barman who had nodded to the back room as you arrived. Shh. Shh. You take in the faces of the people already here, noting several you know. Victor Freed stands in the center of the room, palms flat against a hardwood table, blue eyes scanning and re-scanning a map laid out on the surface, curled mustache twitching the way it always does when he's planning. He has a mop of dark hair falling to just above his shoulders that seems to somehow always appear tousled yet still intentional. The basket-hilted sword he always carries is laid out on the table in front of him, its red leather scabbard still dusty from the journey here. Hendrik Noman leans on a beam, his back to the door, struggling to strike a match to ignite a slender-stemmed pipe. The man looks like a Velenite priest, with his bowl-cut hair and sagging, despondent features, but he carries himself like the worst kind of tavern-crawling cutthroat, from the casual slouch in his shoulders to the multitude of short, murderous knives which festoon his leather jerkin beneath his cloak. He speaks seldom, and almost always to curse. Luther Felwyn is by far the oldest in the room. His features are nearly lost in a deep blanket of wrinkles and scars. He looks up from his spotless knife and grins at you, showing the 3 remaining teeth barely clinging to life before returning to his tender ministrations. Shh! Shh! And then there are the others. 3 unknown faces look at you through the gloom, a selection of expressions on display. You walk over to the table and place a small pouch on the corner of the map, causing Victor to look up. Ah, you're here. He surreptitiously glances to the door behind you, then back at you with a smile that belies a slight tension. No trouble, I hope. You shake your head, knowing that your expression is completely hidden beneath a hood and a face wrap. Good, good. Some introductions are in order, and then we can get back to business, Victor straightens his back and waves the new faces forwards with a casual authority normally only seen in a nobleman's court. May I present the newest additions to our illustrious company? Saja Bannock, Bradley Conan, and Delin Haljoran. You nod to each in turn, reading them carefully as you do so. The first two are obviously former military. They have cold eyes that have been hardened by violence and carry themselves with straight backs, rather than the loose slouch of someone used to working in a crowded street. Sarja seems to be fighting the urge to salute, her jaw clenched slightly, while Bradley has subtly shifted closer to her, watching the rest of the room, with, if not aggression, at least a little wariness. Same unit, then. Likely Sarja holding rank over Bradley. The third newcomer is a different story entirely. Delyn's eyes seem almost too large, her dark skin covered in the tiny swirls of tattoos, nearly imperceptible except this close. Even then, in this dim light, you suspect few, if any, of the others can make them out. You do not recognize the exact patterns, but their intention is clearly arcane. A pleasure. Sarja's tone is clipped, lacking warmth, but you sense no hostility. She holds out a stiff hand. And you are? When you fail to respond, the extended hand drops, hesitantly. Don't take it personally, Miss Bannock. Our friend here is mute. Not strictly true, but Victor knows better than to delve into the details so early. Your eyes are still locked on Delyn's. There is an exotic, captivating quality to her that goes beyond a conventional sense of beauty. A symmetry and sculpted lack of flaw that verges on unnerving.
We just call him Ace, on account of him being our ace in the sleeve, so to speak.
Luther follows this statement with a harsh cackle that descends into a violent coughing fit, then wipes the back of his knife hand across his mouth and returns to stropping his blade. Shh. Shh. And I suppose we won't know what that means until it comes up? Bradley's wariness is still there, but he seems to have relaxed into the opening of conversation. Seems we're a bonny bunch of misfits, and no mistake. Indeed we are, Master Conan. I get the feeling you'll fit right in. Victor smiles his easy smile, eyes shining merrily, then turns his attention back to the table. Were it not for recent circumstances, we would not be taking on new membership, but fate has intervened, and thus you're fortunate enough to find us in a recruiting mood. And we in a recruitable one, Bradley retorts. You're lucky we're between jobs. Indeed. Victor's smile cracks slightly. You have large shoes to fill. Delyn's eyes have not moved from your own until this point, but she turns away now, walking to the table with a grace that verges on floating. You move to Victor's side, making a show of examining the map as you subtly chain together a few known gestures. A palm on the table, with ring finger pointed to Delyn, an audible sniff, and your other hand tugging gently, casually, on your own earlobe. Who is she, and why is she here? Victor responds with a nearly inaudible grunt, and cocks an eyebrow at you. Our employer has been kind enough to lend us an extra pair of hands for this one, which opens up some options. Victor gestures to Delyn, now standing statuesque on the opposite side of the table. I'm told you have a skill set uniquely suited to our endeavour. The strange woman responds with a nod so slight it might have been a flicker of candlelight, but Victor seems satisfied. You do not share his sentiment, but it is his call to make. He plants a finger in the center of the map, which appears to be a floor plan of a large building, centered around a grand chamber. You recognize it, of course. This is not the first time you have seen it, but the newcomers gather around as he begins to lay out the plan. The job is simple, but dangerous all the same. Now, here's what we'll do. You sit in the back of the wagon, fingers knitted, thumbs circling one another, as you allow your thoughts to calm. The road was rutted at first, but has transformed into uneven cobbles as you approach the city proper. Outside, the shining white walls and glittering towers of Storm's Cairn will be growing large ahead of you by now, looming ahead and speaking their inaudible but undeniable message to all who approach. The sight relays, by simply existing, the permanence and authority of the great Karsian Empire, for which this is the capital. You are familiar with the approach, though it cannot be seen from within the covered bed of the wagon where you now sit. Guards in clean imperial blue livery will be gazing down on the traffic crawling through the city gates, leaning on finely crafted halberds and chatting to each other about the latest gossip. You can hear, but not see, the other wagoneers around you exchanging greetings and sharing news from the road. Naturally, the subject of the orcs driving south from the border is on everyone's lips, though the usual grumbles about prices and tightening customs can be made out in the chatter as well. Across from you, thumbing the hilt of a short sword nervously, Sarja Bannock is glaring at the thin sliver of light shining through from the flap at the driver's seat. Hendrik perches next to her, taciturn, and sucks on the stem of his unlit pipe. Beside you, Bradley is fidgeting.
So remind me, why aren't we just walking?
He whispers after a while. Hendrik shoots him a baleful look, then returns his eyes to the wagon floor with a muttered expletive.
I mean, wouldn't a group of travellers be less suspicious than a wagon full of armed ruffians sitting in the dark?
Only if they look in the wagon, Brad, Sarja responds in a whisper. We're still ruffians when we're walking, and this way we avoid unnecessary questions.
Oh, you mean questions like, why are you all sitting in the dark?
Bradley retorts.
Or like, why aren't there any trade goods in this trade wagon?
If they don't make a note of us coming in, they're going to have a harder time noting us when we leave.
Or maybe questions like, who the hell wears their hood up indoors?
Bradley shoots you a look, devoid of malice, which you ignore. True enough, you remain hooded and cowled even now, but he does not yet understand why. If he makes it through the first job, perhaps he'll learn a little more. Sarja does not respond, so Bradley, to his credit, manages to fall silent for a further 30 seconds or so before speaking again.
Maybe we should have hidden in the boxes or something.
Shut the fuck up. Hendrik's tone is flat, and Bradley nearly fires back, but the rumble of wagon wheels halts and he clamps his jaw shut as a conversation can be heard outside. What brings you to Storm Cairn this fine morning? The guard sounds bored and disinterested, but Luther's voice carries clearly through the canvas.
Good morning, Master Guard. I'm making my way into the city market with the hopes of shifting some of my wares.
Not sure I recognise your wagon.
Ah, well, she's an old beast, sir, but this is her first trip to the capital. Most of our trade has been local until now, see, but with the war and all, there's less demand for luxuries up north, so the wife said I'd best get down to the capital. You try seeing if them cultured folk in the big city is interested, Nigel, she says to me, so I says...
The guard cuts him off. And what is it you're hauling? We'll need to have a quick check and see the manifest. A gloved hand parts the canvas by the driver's seat, and you feel yourself tense instinctively. Hendrik has already slid 2 short knives from his bandolier and sits mere inches from the flap with his usual doleful expression.
Certainly. Here's my papers, sir. Feel free to have a poke around, only try not to disturb the jars.
Why's that?
Well, The oil we use stains like a bastard, sir. You get that on a scrap of your uniform, it'll be hell to get out. Not to mention the smell. Fermented eels have a hell of a stink to 'em.
Fermented?
Eels, boss, yeah. All the way from Varn. Been sitting back there near a week now, so they're good and ready. But I think I heard one pop yesterday, so just watch where you put your hands, boss.
The gloved fingers withdraw almost immediately.
Care for a free sample?
Move along, citizen. Welcome to Stormscairn.
Oh, thank you kindly, Chief.
The rumble of cobblestone is replaced shortly after by a gentler grinding as the wagon moves onto the paved surface of the city's main thoroughfare, and the racket of a city street fills the air. Hawkers shilling a broad variety of goods to passing pedestrians, punctuated by the occasional call of greeting. It is impossible to drown the noise out of your thoughts, and so you let it wash over you instead, feeling your heart begin to race, as it always does, just before a job. After what feels like an age, the wagon falls still, the street around you quieter now as you've pulled down a side alley. Luther pulls back the canvas flap abruptly, causing Hendrik to visibly start before shooting you all a snaggled grin.
Come on then, layabouts. It's showtime.
Victor Freed is a man of many talents. That much is known to any who meet him. Not least among them is his ability to maintain an air of dignity and a look of nobility, no matter the circumstances. As he strides towards a side gate of the Imperial Palace grounds in fine travelling clothes that are muted beneath a thick layer of road dust, externally, at least, he is the picture of calm and composure. He is meant to be here. He is important. You are not.
Halt, citizen. State your business.
A guard in spotless armour and a well-dyed blue tabard blocks his path. Halberd held to one side to block his route to the door, but Victor merely smiles breezily and waves his hands in a dismissive gesture.
Yes, very good,
he responds with an air of amused indifference.
Earning your wage today, I see.
The guard hesitates, surprised by the lack of reverence for his office, but Victor continues to walk towards him.
I said, state your business.
Oh, very well. I have an appointment. You may check my name against the list if you wish. Victor fixes the guard with a haughty smile. It will be under E, for Elderkeep, Warden of... Pause for effect. The guard is taken aback by this, and looks set to scoff, but Victor's complete, unflinching confidence gives him an understandable level of indecision.
The Iron Warden?
The same.
But...
Victor's smile twists slightly, as if in distaste. If you are about to ask me about the fall of my sovereign holdings, you had best be very certain of your choice of words, soldier. Pause for effect.
The guard gulps visibly. I'll need to check.
I see. You wish to be the cause of delay in my reporting both my own survival and the details of the siege to the noble Lord Caspid. What exactly is your name and rank, soldier? The guard balks visibly.
Forgive me, my lord, only we weren't expecting...
Of course not, you fool. I'm hardly going to announce my arrival, am I? Victor curls his lips in his very best imperious sneer. Now be a good boy and inform the steward immediately. I've been delayed long enough. But... Victor lowers his voice and slows his words, as though speaking to an unusually dull child. Arrange for one of your colleagues to escort me into the palace immediately. I wish to meet with His Imperial Majesty now. The guard is pale now, caught firmly between propriety and procedure. He glances over Victor's shoulder at the figure accompanying the supposed warden, a bodyguard similarly dressed to himself, but clad in the forest green livery of the elder keep and notably less well groomed, days on the road showing in the dust caked around her greaves. Yes, sir, right away." The guard turns with a sudden haste and bangs on the wooden door with a fist.
"Open up, Corp! We've got a visitor needs admitting."
Victor glances over his shoulder and is rewarded by the same near imperceptible nod from his alleged bodyguard. They have what they need. The unfortunate guard does not see the dark leather cosh slip from Victor's sleeve, nor does he have the chance to defend himself, as it is put to short and efficient use. A single carefully landed blow to the temple sends the poor man reeling, his head twisting violently before he slumps against the wall, eyes rolling back into his head. In a single fluid motion, Victor catches the falling halberd and hands it back to his alleged bodyguard before seizing the unconscious guard by a shoulder and shoving him sideways, away from the door, just as the sound of a heavy latch can be heard on the other side.
"What do you mean, visitor?"
A second guard peers out from the opening door, rightly cautious, as Victor resumes his haughty demeanour.
"Says he's the Iron Warden, Corporal. Wants to be admitted."
The guard takes in Victor, then glances over his shoulder to a familiar figure, clad in spotless armour and a well-dyed blue tabard, clasping a shining halberd.
"All right, Private. Return to your watch. I'll take it from here."
You round the corner, walking swiftly but maintaining a casual air as you approach the guard at the side door. So far so good. Sarja is keeping pace, but she cannot prevent her eyes from casting nervously about herself. Hendrik and Bradley walk just behind you, cloaks covering their weapons, as Bradley whistles tunelessly. Luther, shorter than the others, is puffing slightly as he takes up the rear. You say nothing, of course, simply nodding to the guard who turns to push the door open. As you pass, you once again feel Dellin's eyes burning into you, but this time they shine from a different face, beneath a glinting kettle helmet. Shape-shifting. Such a casual use of raw arcane power makes your teeth itch, but you ignore the sensation and focus on the task at hand. For a moment you think back to the previous evening in the tavern backroom. You don't have to like it, Ace. You just have to put up with it. Victor's confidence was infectious then, as always. But the plan had so many holes, so many questions.
"Fucking creepy."
Hendrik's comment brings you back to the present, and you cast a sidelong glance at the unconscious guard slumped by the door, before passing his uncanny replica and stepping into the palace grounds. So far, so good. Thank you for listening. Our world is built, and we now embark on a story I have been particularly looking forward to telling. It has never been more true that nothing is quite as it seems, but I hope you will join me as we follow this new narrative forwards. I'm grateful for your continued engagement. We have a slight backlog of tales now, so if you haven't already, consider dropping by the Weaver's Rest and taking a look at the other offerings available there. As always, these tales are not only mine, but yours as well, so please do consider leaving a comment below with any suggestions and feedback. Tell me what you thought, how you felt, and what you'd like to see next. Until we meet again, traveller, farewell and safe travels.